Hello, it's time for another book recommendation by me, Melissa Carter. My blog is You Only Have Your Shelf to Blame, see what I did there, .com. So I talk about the books that are on my bookshelf because I do believe that your books and what you surround yourself with entertainment also reflect on who you are. So you are what you consume. And so today is an homage to those who were old enough in the 1970s to have an Atari 2600. If this does not apply to you, you're still going to enjoy this because the pictures are fantastic. And you can understand this if you didn't play video games, but the basic explanation is Atari 2600, one of the first gaming consoles, and I had it in the 70s, that the games were 8-bit. And you know what 8-bit is, very basic, like Pong, okay? Pong, you know Pong, the old school Pong. Even if you never played it, you've seen where it's just the paddles, right? And just the little ball. And at 8-bit is square. So you only can use squares. For the modern day 8-bit is Minecraft, which is not 8-bit. It's all, it's this massive communities of squares. But back in the day, for Atari 2600, it was very basic 8-bit visuals that you had in video games. Now, if you were an avid Atari player like me, you got the catalogs. You also were fascinated by the covers of the games once you got the cartridges. And the artwork of the catalogs and the covers made it seem like this game was going to be so epic.
I gotta say, I'm incredibly excited.
That there was no way that you were ever going to put this game down. And then on some of the games you put it in and it was this basic visuals, 8-bit visual. And you were like, that's not what the cover looked like. Where am I getting at with this? They've published the art of Atari. Woohoo! But I mean, just look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is promotion for one of the Atari games. Let me just give you a couple more examples here. There's the artwork from the cover, and it's just beautifully displayed. And it's such nostalgia. I mean, when I saw that this book was available, I immediately got, and it gives you, information and trivia. Do you know the story about E.T.'s game? This is a big book. It's a big hardcover book, so you can see the strain I have trying to get this in the camera. But, E.T., their Atari game did not do so well. And there's the story of how they buried all the games. That legend, that's talked about here in this book. Let's see. Let's find something that that you may have played. I'm telling you, look at this beautiful piece of art. That would be on the cover of this game, and you'd put it in, and it looked like that. You'd be like, "Where's that guy?"
What? No.
I want some others in here, but I bought this book with the thought that I might frame these. I'm that much of a geek. I'm that much of a gamer. Let me see if I can find some of the original. Space Duel. That looks suspiciously like Star Wars, doesn't it? Right there. But yes, Space Duel. Oh, and look, an actual picture. Here we see two 1970 style boyfriend, girlfriend. Now, from the body language, it looks like he wants to be her, he wants to be her boyfriend, and she's not into it. She's using him for the quarters to play that game. We know that story. And then Pac-Man. Come on. On his little pellets. Even though, in the Atari game, he made the pellets look like wafers, and they even in the artwork. Because if you ever played this game, it's like, those aren't pellets. Those are dashes. But that was the limitation of the Atari 2600 as opposed to the cabinet stand-up game that you had in the arcades. Pirates Cove, by the way, was the name of my arcade back in the day. Art of Atari. Big, hardbound book. But like I said, my intention with this was I was actually going to frame each picture, potentially. I have not done that because I feel like I'm going to betray the book if I try to tear anything out. But it's a great look into nostalgia. And if you're like me, I can't be the only one who was fascinated by the artwork because they obviously made a book out of it. But that's what this is for. So if you were not a child of the 70s, or a child of Atari 2600 or anything later versions, because I'm sure the artwork was there for the later Atari versions, have somebody in your life that was a big Atari fan or played it, then this book is for them, because you talk about bringing back memories. And like I said, there's stories about each game that go along with the artwork to give you a full scope of what you were into when you were younger. So thank you for watching. If you have, you know what I would love for you in the comments to do? Tell me the game that you love the most on your Atari 2600, or if you're younger, if it was something else that you were playing on, then ColecoVision. I mean, like whatever game it was, I would love to hear the games that you played. One of the games, and I still have my Atari 2600 somewhere in a box, and all the games, the cartridges, but one of the games that not a lot of people had, that I had, was Superman. Atari 2600 Superman. Do you remember this game? I mean, literally, he was an 8-bit figure, but he had a little cape, and you could walk him through the phone booth. He would turn into Superman, and you walk him into a phone booth, and you turn to Clark Kent again. And I don't know if that was a well-sold Atari game or not, but you know, even it's the random games. Anyway, leave it in the comments below. If you would like this book, I have a link in the description. And I appreciate you watching again. And if you want to know some of the other books that I've talked about, you can also find it here. And I appreciate it. You can subscribe. You can do all kinds of stuff. I'd love to just hear from you. So I love doing this, and I'll have another book next week. We'll talk then. All right. Bye-bye.